everybody, and welcome to Mom Cooks Fast and Slow. I'm Alex Sullivan, and I'm delighted to have you at my kitchen table. Today, I have Frances Sacripanti with me, who is a personal trainer and runs the company Mind, Body, Bespoke. Frances and I talk about the importance of physical health and mental health and how we need to be kind to ourselves when it comes to our fitness goals, especially as moms. At the end of this conversation, we chat about our partnering in an event on June 7th to fill our cups with health and wellness. So be sure to listen to the end for details. I hope you enjoy. Hi, Frances. Welcome to Mom Cooks Fast and Slow.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I'm very excited to have you on today. You are someone that I've followed for a long time on social media. We're friends in New Canaan, and I'm really excited to have this conversation about fitness and health and how fitness and physical health also intertwine with our mental health. And so, I'm excited to jump into this conversation. I thought the best way for us to start was for you to tell us about your path to your company, which you now have, which is Mind, Body, Bespoke, how you got there and what you are doing now with it.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for having me. I feel like the beginning of Mind, Body, Bespoke starts when I was literally a child. Because I was that kid who was always involved in sports and athletics, and I loved to be outside. So as a young kid, I feel like I knew I wanted to be involved in something that was connected to being to the physical. When I went to college, I became a physical education teacher, and I loved that. It became like a true job that was my passion. And I continued to get more degrees in the physical education world, specifically with curriculum design. But the root of all of that is I loved watching kids find out that they could do something that they thought that they couldn't. And so there's this magic that happens there. And once you see a kid's eyes light up like that, like it just like gets right in your heart. So fast forward, and I'm a mom, and I've been out of the game for a little bit. And I decided, God, I really miss that. Like when it's your kids, it's your kids. But there was something really amazing about working with others outside of my posse, of my group, and seeing that moment, that spark light up. So when my son was about, I don't know, just a few months old, I was ready to get my toe back in the water. I hadn't been teaching for a while. And that was when sort of the wellness world was starting to sort of emerge. And I was like, this is me. This is my thing. Maybe I can do this. And I got very excited about the idea of working with others again. But through my pregnancies, I was like, oh, there's a whole nother group of people that have been sort of like out of the game too, that need to feel inspired and have their spark like light up again. And that is when I was like, oh, I want to help women. I want to help moms who are looking to sort of like feel good again. And from that, Mind, Body, Bespoke started to like blossom. I literally was pushing the stroller around and just constantly absorbing information through. I mean, back then, podcasts, I guess, were emerging too, but I was mostly reading books and websites and just diving in and learning more and more beyond teaching physical education, more about diet and mental health and from my own personal experiences, this thing just continued to grow. And so I started doing some wellness coaching, but it was very tricky in the beginning. Like, I mean, managing your kids and your home, and then also trying to start a business it's really intimidating. And so it's taken a couple of years, honestly, to really get it to where it is today, which I'm just like, sometimes I just pinch myself because I can't even believe where it is now, because there were many times where I was like, this is not going to happen. It just requires so much. But it was always bubbling inside of me, and I had to honor that. So in this last year, I went ahead and added on the personal training certification. And I'm now working with a bunch of women and getting to see those sparks light up. And it's honestly amazing. I
I
love
love
it so
that.
much.
That's so, I mean, I think also now more than ever, I mean, post 2020 to 2023, realistically, it's just so important to have those sparks light up in people again. And I think there's been such a focus now on just how important mind and body together are. And so I just love what you're doing. And I think it's such an important thing, like you said, especially for kids, but everyone needs it. And so I wanted to talk about how you connect. You said you read a lot about diet and nutrition, and you have a physical education background, and then you did a some more work on kind of the mental health aspects of it as well, or in a coaching perspective. So can you explain how you tie all of those things in together when you are working with someone? How do you get across how important it is to have, it's kind of the trifecta, right? Your physical health, your mental health, and your diet all need to be working together to get yourself on track, to feel good about yourself so that you can charge forward in the other everyday life slog that we have to charge forward in. So can you talk about how you mesh those all together for the people that you're working with?
Yeah, I mean, I think you said so many great things. And the first is that they all work together. And when they're all working really well, you're going to feel really good. But I think if we can just backtrack for 1 second, because I do want to say one thing, which is in all of this discovery about health, I think one really important thing to address is the topic of like perfectionism. And that's not even just like the physical part, it's the idea about health as being a perfectionism like mentality. Like if I eat like this and I do this, then I'm going to look like this and I'm going to feel like this. And that is just a ton of pressure to put on yourself. And that is one thing I feel like I do see with people is sort of like, well, I've been bad. That's another phrase I can't stand. I've been bad. And I know if I do this, 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 and this, then I'll be good and I'll feel good and I'll be healthy. And I think we need to be more, well, I talk about this a lot, just to be more kind with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We are human beings. Life is going to go up and down. And when it comes to your health and sort of like the different pillars of health, I think if you can just kind of calm down for a second, and I feel like this is sort of my approach to people when they're like, my stomach looks like this, or I feel like this. I'm like, let's just take it down a minute and be a little more kind. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to in 2 weeks, like somehow change your entire life. Like, let's just enjoy the process and not focus so much. Now, there are plenty of trainers that will, and plenty of people and great coaches and doctors and people that can really guide very specific things. But I think for me, I'm trying to sort of preach like balance and kindness. And I'm not sure that's coming from all of the literature that I've read. Honestly, I think that's coming from my own experience. And I do feel like I have been almost like a guinea pig for my own business where I just try different things to see how I feel. And that's what I love for other people to do too. It's like to be curious, to be a learner about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And one speed bump that I think a lot of women in particular, they hit, especially after having kids, is, well, before kids, I was XYZ. I was this size. I got up every morning. I did this. I ate this way. And I think that's a tough spot to sort of pigeonhole yourself into,
Mm-hmm.
because there is an evolution that happens in your life. And, with mothers in particular, you go through a pretty significant change, not just physically and hormonally, but like mentally. Because
Right.
suddenly you're thinking about everyone else. So maybe your health is not a priority per se. So I feel like this is a long answer to your question, but my my approach with most of my clients is a gentle one, which
Mhm.
is, let's remember that we are human, we are not machines, and let's just slowly take a look at where you are now. And then just, it's like very gentle, honestly, for someone who loves to be aggressive like I do. And maybe some of my clients would be like, well, you're not that gentle in the gym. But the truth is, it's more about that inside. And when the inside is feeling really, really solid and safe, to be honest, then I think all these other beautiful things can happen for people. So that really does touch, the mental and emotional part of health, in my opinion.
And I think, you say you're tough in the gym on your clients, but soft in kind of your approach to how they should approach their physical and mental being. And I think that really hits home to even how I try and raise my kids, in the sense that you want to give positive reinforcement. You don't want people or your kids or yourself to feel bad about things. But at the same time, there are goals we need to strive for. And there are hard things that we need to try and do that maybe we're going to fail a few times and maybe it's not going to be easy. But the combination of being kind with yourself as well as pushing yourself to that next goal or to that next level is such a important way, I think, to approach, I mean, all of life's challenges, but specifically to, kind of what you're describing here. And I love that approach to physical and mental kind of health. And I mean, I'm even thinking about how you said it took you 3 years to really push forward on what you were trying to do. And we all need to remember that it's not going to take 3 weeks to get the result we want. Sometimes it takes years, and you have to have that mental strength to push forward, but be kind with yourself when you don't automatically achieve that goal. So I love that that's kind of your approach, because I think that really matches with, how we should all kind of approach life.
Right. No, I think that also just that pressure, taking that pressure off of yourself. I mean, you know, I think what happens is sometimes people are feeling really poorly and then they're like, that's it. Today, everything changes. Like, whoa, that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself.
Mhm.
Like it just feels like a lot. And I think that sort of like kind and gentle way, it actually can make that person feel more ready to look longer, to look further in a more realistic way. So that's kind of how I do things.
I love that. So walk me through, if I was like, okay, Frances, I am ready to jump in, what does your initial session look like? And how does that, how do you set up a person for a long-term goal?
So the first thing I would do is, I love when people want to come. When I'm always like, come, everybody come. So I am the cheerleader. I am your cheerleader, and you're going to learn that about me right from the beginning. Like, if somebody wants to come, I want you here too. Like, I'm like, come, just come to the gym, come hang out with me. Um, it seems like I've had like several cups of coffee, because I am just energized by the fact that somebody feels ready to take the plunge. So when you come to me for the first time, prior to coming in, you'll have to fill out some paperwork, basically like your health history and things like that. And that gives me just like a baseline, because if somebody has, a medical condition, I obviously need to know about that. So I am very particular about safety in the gym. A lot of women that are coming in maybe haven't done things for a while, or maybe they just had a baby in the last couple of months. So I will be like, I was a teacher, right? So I feel like I addressed that first session like the first day of class. It's like I switch my hat, because a lot of my clients I know socially too. And I have to be like, hey, I'm going to take this hat off. I'm going to put this hat on. And I do kind of get into a zone. So I usually sit with somebody first for a few minutes, go over anything that I had questions with on the paperwork, just so I'm up to speed, especially medications, previous surgeries, anything that I need to know before you get physical here in the gym. And then what comes out a lot of that is the emotional part and the mental. I mean, I have found that people do really start to like open up and be vulnerable with me, which is what I love because that helps me understand the best way to work with you. I mean, I have women that were, college athletes who, I mean, they come in eyes wide open, ready to go, right? And then I have other women that I feel like are sort of like they've been hesitant or maybe they've tried something else that hasn't worked. So having that initial meet and greet time allows me to figure out the best way to work with somebody. And then once we get into the gym, it's kind of like a 101. So no matter where you were, whether you were a college athlete or you've never taken a weight training class before, I have everybody do a few like foundational movements so I could see how they move. And then I can ask questions like, when you do this, does anything hurt? Do you have any pain? And then I get them going zero weight, just using their body on how to do squats properly, how to do deadlifts properly, like just very simple movements to see how somebody is operating and where we're starting. So I'm huge on warming up. We warm up every time. You're never going to come into the gym and just jump right into something because I am very sensitive to injuries. And I think also that would be a really tough way to start out the training if you just like throw something around and get hurt. And I have found that is the gentle, that is sort of like the gentle approach in a weird way. And yes, it might feel like it is technically called assessment, right? Which means test, but it's a nice way for someone who might be intimidated to come into the gym and go through an assessment, but understand that how I'm going to be their teacher, like my style, which is a little softer. I don't know. I just feel like, when you think about these boot camps and trainers, like sometimes people are like, I can't do that. And my goal is to be like, yeah, you can. I think I say that all the time. I'm like, someone's like, I can't lift that. I'm not going to. I'm like, yeah, you can. And that's when I see those sparks. And it's like the most rewarding thing ever to have someone leave a session and feel really good. I want people to get in their car when they leave hanging out with me in the gym and turn their car on and be like, yes,
I did it.
I did it. And I feel really good. And like, look what I know, like I love like the exercise literacy that people are starting to like get from coming here. It's a big boost for me to have people coming back. It's just like awesome. I love it.
And do you work at all with I mean, I know you're not a dietitian, but do you work at all with people's diets or is it strictly the physical part?
So I'm not a medical doctor and I'm not a registered dietitian. And I very much believe that you need an expert for that kind of thing. However, and also within my scope of practice as being a personal trainer, like I am not really set up to do some of that next level dietary coaching. So I'm very careful about that. However, I can provide guidance. I can talk about things that maybe I do that work for me. I can encourage exploration. And that's not like I can't share a recipe. It's more like if somebody has a medical condition, maybe they have Crohn's or maybe they have diabetes, like they really should be speaking with somebody who has an education and skill set to do that well. So I know my limits there, and I would never ever cross that.
No, I do feel like, at least on your social media, you always put out there like, this is something I really enjoy and this is, great, but, do you. I mean, I
Yeah.
do feel like a lot of your perspectives are great in the sense of you encourage people to step outside their comfort zone or look at something new, but also so respectful of everyone having their own way of doing things. And I love that. Do you run sessions where it's multiple people or are you only a trainer for one person at a time?
I do privates and then semi-privates, which right now are no more than 4 people. And there's 2 reasons for that. One is space. Like we have a great gym here at the house, but I don't want it to be crammed. And the other reason is that I'm still watching you and looking at your form, and I certainly don't want anyone getting hurt. So I think that 4 women and myself is the appropriate amount for me to be watching, coaching, going over and talking to people while something else might be happening. I can still kind of have an eye on, somebody who's lifting something heavier over here or jumping over here. So the semi-privates though are really fun, and those sort of took off more than I anticipated. What I love about those, honestly, is it started out with like sort of groups of people that wanted to come together, and now people are coming and working out with different people, and I
Mm-hmm.
love that. I just
That's
love
great.
the idea that it's like you come here to feel good, leave everything else outside,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and let's train together. Like let's train together, and I don't know, it's kind of a beautiful thing. I
It
love
is.
it.
I love that. Which very nicely transitions us to something that you and I are going to partner on. So I feel like we have a very similar perspective in that we want people to be happy in life. We don't want people to be sad or stressed or have high anxiety. And we felt like there's a bit of a need for that, especially coming out of the last few years. There's just this need to, I mean, I found it in the sense of we're too much online. I want people to be in person, caring about their community, caring about their families, putting that stuff first versus social media and things like that. And you obviously, we've spent a half hour talking about how important kind of that being kind to yourself and being happy is such an important part of life. So we've decided to team up and do a pilot session where you will be doing a training session and I will be providing lunch. Um, do you want to talk a bit about what we're planning on doing?
Yeah. I mean, I'm so excited about this because I think, you and I have also talked about sort of like coming out on the other side of the pandemic, and how are things different from before. And um, I think in this case, a lot of people have learned a lot about themselves and perspectives, also about their family, and sort of like that shook everyone in so many different ways, and sort of like what's important to you. Um, and my therapist has said this to me: Frances, you are the linchpin of your family. And I just like, I don't know why that literally has gotten stuck in my head, but it has gotten stuck in my head. So when I think about women and I think about, you know, in our community, all these people that are the linchpin of their family, there is a need for them to be taking part and sort of filling their cup, so to speak, with positive, um, kind experiences where we all come together and we remember what matters.
Mm-hmm.
And I am so pumped up because I think we're going to have this awesome time, getting together with just a group of women from all over.
Yep.
And we're going to go through a workout together. And now that everybody's kind of heard about my style, you won't be scared, but you will get a workout, and followed by something delicious and some great conversation, to bring everybody together, to feel good,
Yes.
to leave, to get in their cars when they leave the event and go, I just feel so good. That was
Right.
nourishing for me. I feel good.
Yes. 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 That is my goal. And I'm so grateful that you're excited to do it with me. So I think it'll be really good. And we're going to put out on our respective social medias how you can sign up. It's going to be a small group this first time. And then if we get good feedback, maybe we'll do it once a quarter or I don't know. But I do think it's a great first step to, like you said, fill people's cups and bring joy back into life all together in person. So I'm very excited about it.
Yes, me
Um,
too.
so to end our conversation, well, first, before my last question, where is it that people can find you if they want to follow you on social or if they want to sign up for a session? What's the best way for people to reach you?
Um, Probably the fastest way to find me is through my Instagram page, which is at Mind, Body, Bespoke. There's a link to my website, which is slightly cobweb archaic. It's gone through. I did it myself, so it's
It
got
looks
some.
great. I think it's great.
Yeah, that was a real labor of love trying to get that going because I have zero background in anything technology wise. Like I'm like a ding dong. I was using Safari as you before, and I've talked with one of my clients about the Safari issue. But Instagram is probably the best way to get connected with me, and then through that, I can hook you up with my booking system through Vagaro, and you could get in here and get the good stuff.
Love it. All right. Okay. So to finish us off, what is your favorite family tradition and why?
What is my favorite family tradition? Oh boy, I'm gonna have to dig around for that one. Actually, my favorite family tradition. So my husband's out of town for work, and last night the kids and I ate dinner off paper plates, and it was a smorgasbord. It was a hot mess, but we were sitting together. Actually, some of them were My Little Pony plates.
Oh my
But we say a blessing as a family whenever we can have family dinner, and I grew up saying more of a religious blessing, and for whatever reason, while it probably stuck with me, the blessing that our family says kind of just came out naturally. And we bless our family, we bless our friends, we bless our country, we bless the troops, and we say this all together.
Oh,
And so after we get through our country and our troops, it becomes like bless the animals, and then my little one is like bless the sunshine, and it keeps going, and it's kind of like it always sort of ends up being a little bit different as the kids chime in.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like it because the beginning part, my family, my friends, the country, our troops, I don't know, for me, that just is a great touch point for all of us to sit there for a second and say, wow, we're really grateful for all of that stuff.
I love that. Yeah, that's
so
beautiful.
That's kind of a fun one I like.
Yeah, no, that is beautiful. I love that. Well, Frances, thank you very much for coming on. And the date that we are doing our thing, what was it? June 7th,
I think.
Yes, June 7th. All right, so June 7th, I look forward to partnering with you. It's gonna be fun.
Me too. Thank you for having me. This has been fun.
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye.